Thank you. Thank you. Now, I wonder if you're aware of what's been going on backstage. There's a whole bunch of women back there who are getting ready to come up here, and it is just a total bundle of nerves. Yeah, everything from amazing excitement to total nervousness. I think there's probably even some abject terror going on. And that's the common thing, right? I mean, that's pretty much what we expect when people come up to do public speaking. We associate it with this fear, this nervousness. And it makes sense. We come up here, our hearts are pounding, we've got sweaty palms, and we have this horrible belief, this terrible fear that you, the audience, are here just waiting to judge us, right? Just waiting to count our every But I know why you're here. You're here because you want to receive presents, right? You're here because you want to receive the gifts of these women's talks. You invested time and resources and energy to be sitting here today because you want to be inspired. You want to be moved and educated and entertained. You don't want to judge us. You want to love us, right? You want us to win. And know that the women, anyone really, coming up to a public stage, but these women I know, they've got so much going on inside of them because they care so much. They care so much that the gift that they are here to give is received by you. They care so much that their wisdom, their perspectives, their insight, their ideas are fully received by you. That's what's really going on. And I am passionate about getting to the heart, the real truth of the fears and the confusions that hold women back from being seen and from being heard. And because I am fundamentally committed to supporting women in claiming their place on the public stage. Now, how many of you have heard this quote that was given by the Dalai Lama, this statement in 2009 at the Vancouver Peace Summit? The world will be saved by the Western woman. Have you heard this? Yeah, powerful statement. But I believe that there's something very important to add to that statement. I believe that the world will be saved by the Western woman who speaks up. Yeah. This belief has called me in my life to do the work that I do in supporting women in public speaking and in creating epic speeches. Because first and foremost, there is nothing that brings me greater joy than being a witness to that moment when a woman first steps into the full power of her voice. It is like watching the most gorgeous flower on this earth bloom. And I also do this work because I truly believe that women claiming their place on the public stage has such far-reaching positive implications for the future well-being of our planet. But there is a little bit of a problem. There's a little kink in the hose, if you will, of what it is that holds women back, actually, from doing that. And that is, one, this fear of public speaking, which for many people is a fear that is greater even than the fear of death. And this wall of self-doubt that lives in the minds of so many women and seemingly separates them from the ways in which they long to create and to contribute to their communities. Now, I know this fear and this self-doubt intimately. But the thing is that I didn't always. I actually grew up in a home that supported me in speaking up. And I hosted my first campaign for public office when I was 13 years old. My mother helped me to create this fabulous poster with green and gold glitter. My slogan, when a mover and a shaker, vote for Casey Baker. And I gave my first speech in front of my entire class at the head of the science room, and I loved it. I loved it. I loved sharing what I thought. I loved talking about my ideas, about how we can make our middle school a more fabulous place to learn. I felt total freedom to speak up and to be seen in that. And I went on to win that election, thankfully, and I went on to be involved in student politics and public speaking and performing arts. I loved being seen and being heard. And then I moved into my womanhood years, went to college, first couple of years after college, and something strange started to happen. I began to feel afraid that what I wanted to say may not be good enough, may not be actually of value to anyone else. I began to feel a lot of resistance to speaking up in my communities. I began to think very painful thoughts about myself. And I stopped speaking up. And at the age of 23, I had a moment where I really looked at my life, depressed, at that point in time suicidal. And I wondered what had gone wrong. Because when I looked, I realized that I had not spoken up anywhere, on any stage, or said anything in years. And I missed that feeling that I had when I was a girl, of that freedom to contribute in the ways that I longed to contribute via my voice. The joy that I felt in that. You see, I don't believe that we are born afraid to speak up, or to get on a public stage, or to be seen and heard. I don't believe that we are born filled with self-doubt about the value of what we have to say. Somehow that creeps in for one reason or another. And at that moment at 23, I made a decision. I knew that my work somehow, in some way, was to free myself, to free my mind, to get to the bottom, the root, the truth of really, really, what is this fear? And what is this self-doubt stemming from, really? And I made some amazing discoveries. I had some extraordinary perspective shifts and some powerful teachers come into my life that have allowed me to once again find the freedom to claim my space again on the public stage and to speak, and to experience the joy of supporting other women and having that freedom as well. And so I want to share with you today a couple of the gems, the perspective shifts that I have had, that I have found to be invaluable in accessing the freedom to speak, to be heard, to be seen, whenever you want, wherever you want, to anyone that you want. Number one, fear. So the fear of public speaking, it doesn't just happen on a public stage like this. I mean, it can come up whether it's on a stage like this, a wooden box with a piece of fabric on it, or the head of a boardroom, or at the dinner table, or in the middle of a community town hall meeting. It can come up in any kind of situation where there's that anticipation of you're about to share your voice, what you think. And it is a fear that holds so many people back, people with incredible creativity, people with amazing brilliance, who so want to contribute, but the fear and the resistance keep them from ever speaking up, and a whole world of brilliance is lost. I think it's tragic. And I think it all stems from a giant, giant misunderstanding about what this experience of fear is, or nervousness, or awkwardness, or this feeling inside that is so uncomfortable because it's so powerful. And here's the perspective that I would love to share with you, which is that perhaps this feeling of fear or nervousness, whatever that may be that you call it, perhaps this is the feeling of your power. It has been misidentified for so long that it just freaks the daylights out of us when it comes along. It's like being plugged into a socket and having enormous amounts of voltage and energy run through your whole system. And it's supporting you in being able to powerfully deliver your voice. And it comes up very, very strongly, I think, in these situations where we have a group of people looking at us when we're about to speak. Because here's what's actually going on. Right now, I'm standing here in front of you. I don't know how many there you are, about almost 100. And all of your eyes are focused just on me. That is a lot of energy coming at me right now. It's intense. That is a lot to take in. That's no joke. And when we're not conscious or aware that all of that is going on, our system gets really frightened. Our mind will start to think things that will try to get us out of the danger zone to try to protect us, even though they might feel like self-sabotaging thoughts, like, I'm going to screw it up. So what happens is that when you are in anticipation of the experience of having people looking at you and watching you and all of this intensity of energy, what's going on is that life is actually supporting you by sending you an influx of incredible energy to match it. So you become a vessel for this incredible chi, this power, to support you in delivering your message. And that is amazing. It is your friend, not your enemy. These intense sensations are not something to try to make go away or get over, hypnotize yourself out of it or whatever. Learn to say yes to it and to know that it's your friend. It's here to support you. And that's because there's an incredible alchemy that occurs when that moment, when we public speak. The alchemy is this, that in this moment where you have people watching you and you speak into that place, all eyes and all ears focused on you, it gives you a unique power in that moment to inspire, to move, to persuade people to actually change how they think, to change even how they behave. It is pure magic. And that is why public speaking is so deeply intertwined with leadership, because of that unique power. So say yes to the intensity of the sensation and the feeling, and know that it is your friend to use. The second thing that I have found fascinating is this, this root of self-doubt, which I believe oftentimes comes from a way in which women relate in a way that is somewhat painful with one another when they speak up in the world. I believe that there is a bit of a silent war that goes on that a lot of people don't really talk about between women. It's not prevalent all the time, but it can exist, and it can be so impactful in us feeling the freedom to speak up. Let me give you an example. When I was a senior in high school, I got waitlisted at a college where my best friend was rejected, and she didn't talk to me for 2 weeks. And I learned at that age that success could actually have the cost of losing love in my life from a woman that I loved. And I've also known the other side of this. I've known the other side where I have seen women just rocking it in their lives. They are doing amazing work. They're making tons of money doing internet marketing campaigns, or they're off writing books and getting major speaking gigs all over the planet, or they're just rocking it. And you so want to celebrate them, but what happens is you celebrate them, and all of a sudden there's this immediate thought like, oh God, I'm not doing enough. Something's wrong with me. So another woman's success illuminates your failure, and that is fundamentally separating. It's as if there is a scarcity of shining on this planet. And that's just insane. So, but when we can learn that actually there is no scarcity of success, and another woman stepping into her greatness only serves as fuel to support our own greatness, that changes everything. Several years ago, a woman who I am honored to share the stage with today, who has been a significant teacher in my life, Regina Thomashauer, taught a course that I attended, and she made a distinction that men grow through being challenged and appreciated, for sure, but they love challenge. We have a whole educational system that's built on challenge and critique. But women blossom through being celebrated. Isn't that just the truth? It feels so good to be celebrated. It just makes you want to be even more fabulous. That's how we grow. And when we can really get that, when we find the joy of celebrating the women in our lives, of being what I call fertile listening where you are so devoted to listening for the brilliance in another woman that she can't help but blossom in your presence. That's the kind of listening that we can give to one another. Because when you do that, the magic happens. You blossom as well. That's the way that it works with women. That's the way that it works. And so, for any woman who has a longing to contribute to our world and wants to use her voice as the tool to do that, I implore you to claim your place on the public stage. Claim your place and discover the freedom and the joy that is here waiting for you. And when you do, when you speak up and you lead, know that we are here waiting for your gift, the gift of your voice, and we are so ready to celebrate you. Thank you.